Filmmaking is not an easy feat by any means, and that is especially evident when it comes to making your first movie. With that in mind, it's common practice in Hollywood that most filmmakers only continue to improve with the more experience they gain, but it's not uncommon for some to hit the nail on the head on their first go. An abundance of films developed over the 20th century, such as Charles Laughton's The Night of the Hunter, Sidney Lumet's 12 Angry Men, and Quentin Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs, to name only a handful, make that abundantly clear. So, what about the best within the 21st century? Well, there's plenty more where that came from. I'm Ewan, you're watching What Culture, and here are the 10 best directorial debuts of the 21st century so far. Number 10. Ex Machina. British writer and director Alex Garland's sci-fi thriller Ex Machina garnered critical acclaim when it was released back in 2014. Ex Machina is a claustrophobic tale exploring the relationship between humans and artificial intelligence and how initial curiosity can lead to devastating consequences. It should be said that the picture doesn't just feature within this list due to that unforgettable dancing scene, but seriously, who knew Oscar Isaac had moves like that in his locker? Ex Machina is creepy, gripping, and keeps you hooked through immense suspense. Inhabiting a genre that historically has big money backing behind it with a mere budget of only $15 million, Ex Machina is an intimate and prescient take on subject matter that we are going to have to reckon with in the years to come. Number 9. The Babadook. If it's in a word or it's in a look, you can't get rid of the Babadook. Jennifer Kent's 2014 horror movie The Babadook will surely go down as one of the all-time great directorial debuts. A perfect meditation on grief and depression, led by two great performances from Essie Davis and Noah Wiseman, all punctuated menacingly by the eponymous creature itself. Kent's low-budget indie horror, adapted from their own short film Monster, which she developed in 2005, focuses on a young widow and her traumatized child as they adjust to life without their husband and father respectively. Out of nowhere, a mysterious-looking children's book appears at their house, telling the story of the Babadook, a pallid Dickensian-looking monster that terrorizes those who discover its existence. What follows is a lesson in subliminal terror. The Babadook lingers on the periphery of every frame. Grief and trauma given metaphysical form. It's a truly superb debut, and I would argue the definitive genre text on all the awful feelings that we carry with us when someone passes away. Because for all that The Babadook is a blisteringly scary time, it also has one of the most triumphant and uplifting horror movie endings. We might not be able to excise grief entirely, but as The Babadook shows us, if we can make peace with it, then we can all learn to live again. Number 8. Hereditary. Ari Aster has quickly become one of the big vanguards of the horror genre over the last several years. Aster's direction traps the audience through long takes and wide shots that work in tandem to exhibit unsettling imagery from which the viewer is subsequently unable to escape. Hereditary itself is a wild ride that explores ancestry, witchcraft, and Satanism through a modern-day American family who face a horrifying fate their lineage bestowed onto them. The movie is evenly blood-curdling and spine-chilling, boasting standout performances, in particular from Toni Collette and Alex Wolff, with the former well and truly robbed of an Oscar nomination for her efforts. Number 7. John Wick. John Wick changed the game when it released in 2014. Directed by veteran stunt coordinator Chad Stahelski with uncredited work by fellow stuntman David Leitch, although not the strongest of the now 4-picture saga, the first John Wick burst onto the scene and effectively acted as an education to Hollywood on how to do action well, rubbishing the shaky cam of the post-Bourne era, as well as quick-cut editing to hide bad choreography, and instead giving the viewer a full picture of the carnage unfolding on screen, all with a career-best Keanu Reeves showing exactly why he's such a great performer. The first John Wick does lag in some respects behind its sequels, which up the ante in regards to action and the overall lore of Derek Kolstad's world, but it's a tight and efficient movie anchored by a truly brilliant turn from Reeves, who is perfectly suited to the screenplay's mix of tragedy, levity, and relentless action. The true star of the film, however, is Stahelski's direction. 2 decades of working as a stunt coordinator trained his eye for action, and being able to marshal that as a director led to one of the purest genre efforts we've ever gotten. It's not my personal favorite of the franchise, but what a great way to announce yourself as a director. Number 6. AFTERSUN. There aren't many films made in the last 2 decades that hit harder and cut deeper than Charlotte Wells' directorial debut, AFTERSUN. Starring a career best performance to date from Paul Mescal, as well as introducing many to the wickedly talented Frankie Corio, AFTERSUN is a real gem of a movie. A dark, coming-of-age drama, AFTERSUN explores the loving but complex relationship between a father and a daughter, as her now adult self attempts to put the pieces back together regarding how much she truly knew him and about the pain he was suffering with on their last holiday together. AFTERSUN is undoubtedly one of the best films we've received in recent years, making its one Academy Award nomination all the more perplexing. Number 5. NIGHTCRAWLER. NIGHTCRAWLER's exploration of crime journalism depicts a monstrous and immoral profession confined within unforgiving Los Angeles. He's as despicable and dislikable as they come, but Jake Gyllenhaal's Louis Bloom is just a physical embodiment of the inhumane domain he inhabits for the audience to detest and, twistedly, become enchanted by. NIGHTCRAWLER offers a seasoning of strong supporting performances from Bill Paxton, Rene Russo, and Riz Ahmed that stand out amongst others, but it is Gyllenhaal who steadies the ship so that it sails most smoothly. However, this was only made possible due to Dan Gilroy's wonderful direction and Oscar-nominated script that allowed Gyllenhaal unlimited access to investigate LA's deepest and darkest secrets. Number 4. Michael Clayton. From one Gilroy brother to another now, and yeah, 2007 is kind of one of the best movie years we've ever gotten. For a brief moment in the late 2000s, we got a spirited resurgence of artful, independently crafted features like No Country for Old Men, Zodiac, There Will Be Blood, and the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. Truly a banger year, and one of the best efforts from it was Michael Clayton, which marked the directorial debut of one Tony Gilroy. Years before he rocked up to the galaxy far, far away and stole all the other Star Wars movies and shows lunch money with Rogue One and Andor, Gilroy had cut his teeth as a screenwriter on the Bourne series and a few other efforts from the late 90s. However, it was Michael Clayton that truly illustrated the extent of Gilroy's talents, a film that he both wrote and directed. Starring George Clooney as the titular character, Michael Clayton is a stylish, moody, and gripping legal thriller that dives into the underbelly of the agricultural industry and the dark arts of the legal profession. It's one of Clooney's finest ever performances, with the actor perfectly selling Clayton's inner turmoil and the high-stakes stress of the conspiracy being unraveled, and he's matched perfectly on the opposite side by Tilda Swinton, who plays a lawyer working for the agricultural giant in Clayton's sights. Truly fierce filmmaking, and one that exemplifies why 2007 was such a great year for the medium. Number 3. Pig. Pig might be one of the most slept-on movies we've gotten over the last decade. Starring Nicolas Cage as a reclusive truffle pig farmer whose prized companion is abducted one night, Pig also marked the directorial debut of Michael Sarnowski. Sarnowski's film is beautifully paced and tells a lyrical, heartbreakingly good story anchored by one of Cage's finest ever performances, a brilliant reminder of his unique talent, having been afforded ideal space by the director and screenwriter Vanessa Brock to do his stuff. Pig is such an accomplished piece of work that it almost beggars belief that it's Sarnowski's directorial and screenwriting debut. As things currently stand, it's my favorite film of the 2020s, a beautifully affecting piece of cinema that dives into loss and legacy and the burdens they can bring. Number 2. In Bruges. Martin McDonagh has to be one of the greatest filmmakers of the last 2 decades, and as far as directorial debuts go, they don't get much better than In Bruges. The film follows the aftermath of a botched job with hitmen Ray and Ken, expertly portrayed by Irish double act Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson, who find themselves stuck in the rather dull city of Bruges while they await ramifications from Ray Fiennes as Harry, their psychotic boss. In Bruges exhibits McDonagh's trademark balance of comedy and tragedy that we've all grown accustomed to. Many factors play into the film's favor and make it as popular as it is, but one overwhelming reason that literally can't be overstated is the on-screen chemistry shared and showcased by Farrell and Gleeson. Ray and Ken are the total opposites of one another, but that's what makes them work so well as a duo. Ray's temperamental nature is contradicted by Ken's thick skin, making them the idyllic yin and yang for one another. Thus, to make it work, In Bruges requires Farrell and Gleeson to bring their respective A-games to the table, and they all but deliver on that front as McDonagh exchanges Bruges' characteristic piece for Purgatory. And number 1, Get Out. If you'd asked folks 10 years ago if they thought Jordan Peele would go on to become one of the key innovators in the horror genre and develop some of the best films of the decade, they would have probably been surprised. Peele was a beloved figure of the comedy scene for years before he swapped sketch routine to the director's chair, and while talented, hadn't really intimated the feats he was capable of. This is part of what made his 2017 directorial debut, Get Out, such a phenomenon. Peele's Get Out is a genius, fluid horror satire and arguably the most essential film of the 2010s. A black-led production that takes aim at racism and the polite insidiousness in which it pervades in white spaces. Drawing upon the Stepford Wives and Rosemary's Baby as inspiration, Peele's film is both surreal and unsettling, and a perfect announcement to the world that a new horror king was in town. And those were the 10 best directorial debut films of the 21st century so far. What have your favorite debuts the last 2 decades been? Share your thoughts and recommendations down in the comments below, as there are a bunch I know I like but didn't make the cut. Don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it, and hey, if you're new here and fancy more, why not hit the subscribe button too? Either way, thanks a bunch for watching. I've been Ewan, and I'll catch you next time. Bye!